Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Juana Marina James Velardo. I'm the president of the Black Student Union and have been for 2.5 years here at CHC, and this is our third annual Culture Shock. For those of us who are attending for the first time, Culture Shock is basically an event where we discuss the African American diaspora and their surviving culture and how it evolved. And this presentation is meant to be an educational opportunity to those unaware of the significant impact of African Americans and what we have had, past and present, on our society today as we know it. To begin, I would like to explain what the diaspora was. But firstly, I would like everyone to acknowledge that our history does not begin with slavery and it does not end with the civil rights movement. However, the dark generations of enslaved people is where this presentation will begin. So what is the diaspora? The diaspora I'll be referring to is the Black diaspora, where many African Americans were involuntarily brought over to the Americas and forced into slavery. Why, you may ask? It's very simple. Black people weren't seen as people, they were seen as commodities, free labor, and a means to continue productivity, since the Native Americans were becoming protected under Spanish rule, or they were dying off from European diseases that they could not fight. Also, geographical location did play a huge part in why the colonizers did choose West Africa mostly, because it's very accessible with the technology that they had at the time, AKA ships. Despite the tragedy of slavery and all the atrocities that took place until it was made illegal and abolished, African Americans persevered due to dehumanization and torture. Even with their captors' attempts to strip them of their identity, so much of rich and colorful African culture still survived. Soul food is very important and has many ties to African roots. Many Africans cultivated crops that were replicated from those in their homes, such as rice. Rice is not native to the Americas, but they took that from their home and continued it on so they had something to thrive off of. And now the rice is a staple in a lot of Black dishes as well. Cornbread, which is essentially fufu, which is eaten a lot in West Africa as well, is kind of our rendition of that with the materials that we had here. Like I said, like a lot of things weren't native to this country or this side of the world. And it mimics it a lot because with fufu, you're kind of like using it as a spoon. You're soaking up all the juices and meat from what you're eating. In cornbread, they use it to soak up the pot liquor from greens, which is like all the juice at the bottom of the pot, which is like really good. Other examples of soul foods are yams, fried fish, and okra. Music is also a remnant of the diaspora. A lot of Black artists use African polyrhythms as beats as the foundation of their songs. Since many slaves had no access to instruments, their voices were their main source of music. This resulted in what we know as spirituals. Through these spirituals, stories of our ancestors were kept alive and passed down from generation to generation. A famous spiritual is Lift Every Voice and Sing, which is also dubbed the Black National Anthem. I will play that in a very short second. Diaspora music is very diverse, and it includes reggae, hip hop, and blues. So I'm just gonna play a little bit of that for you. The first song right here is Lift Every Voice and Sing. It's very famous. A lot of people who are Black know it.
Strength
a powerful one right there. Y'all gotta listen to the whole thing. Like I said, reggae is also a remnant of the diaspora, so I'm gonna play a little bit of Bob Marley. I'm pretty sure everyone has heard this song at some point in their life.
No woman, no cry. No woman, no cry. Said I remember when we used to sit in the government yard in Trenchtown. Over serving the hypocrites as they would mingle with the good people we made.
And then I consider this song as to be like part of the blues and R&B. Once again, very famous song.
Playing with his fingers, singing my life with his words, killing me softly with this song, killing me softly with this song, telling my whole life with his words, killing me softly with his song.
Yeah. Along with music, dance was also carried on and evolved in whatever area it was mostly done in. Many African dances, okay. With music, dance was also carried on and evolved in whatever area it was done in. Many African dances have become Latin dances that we're more familiar with, like bachata, merengue, salsa, la bomba, which I will show, and they're all derived from many West African dances. My personal favorite, which is also a result of the diaspora, is the Dutty wine, okay? I'm gonna play that in a second, but you can really see a lot of the African footwork in the more Latin dances, and also like in the costume that's being worn. So I'm gonna start off with my favorite.
You walk so go in the water, go in the sea, go in the bushes and go in the tree. You camp on the bed, you're not going with me. Go on the floor, camp on the TV. Go on the dresser and broke up figurine. Camp on the fan, no girl, no figure me when we see the
Yeah, so that's just one example. And this right here is called La Bomba. It has a lot of erotic movements, and they use their costume or their skirt to really like elicit the emotions that they're playing. And this also was derived from the plantations. And last but not least, so I don't know if y'all noticed a common theme in the last two dances, but a lot of them had the African polyrhythms I was talking about, so that's just kind of like the beat of the drums and also the footwork. And this is just more stuff as the result of the diaspora, so things that came over during the transatlantic slave trade. So a lot of black women wear waist beads, and this is a way to like gauge the slimness of your waist. It's also just used simply as like an accessory. Braids, obviously, you know the story of braids already. So sometimes back in the day, people would like store certain foods and stuff within their braids, and since our hair is kind of thick, it worked. Another thing right here, this is capoeira, and capoeira is a martial art that derives from Angola, and it's mainly practiced over in Brazil because the slaves were using it as a way to disguise like kind of a revolution because in capoeira, it's mostly like a dance, even though it is martial arts, it's very easily like translatable to like the swift, fluid movement, so the slave masters never really knew what they were doing, so they got away with it. Another thing is Islam. Islam is more native to the other side of the world, and a lot of Africans brought over the religion with them, despite, you know, people trying to force Christianity on them or other religions, so that's how Islam mostly thrives over here. Other things we have are the kente cloth. Kente cloth is just like colorful fabric that Africans wear, has a lot of geographical patterns and significance within the colors. And also some instruments I'm gonna go over. Drums were carried over here. There's also an instrument called a berimbau, which is used in capoeira. I don't have an example of it, but it sounds really beautiful, and I suggest people look into that. And I'm trying to think what else has brought over. Does anyone have any ideas of stuff that was brought over from the diaspora? Anything, something, dreadlocks. What else? What else do Africans do? I already went on the music. Huh? Soccer. Sure. I think that they were definitely playing soccer in the 1600s. I wouldn't be surprised if they were, definitely. Any other suggestions? That's perfectly fine. We're all here to learn, right? That's actually the end of my presentation. Feel free to ask any questions. We can have a little educational discussion if anyone has something they want to say in regards to the diaspora or current African American culture. But with that being said, thank you so much for listening.
My name is Celia Brown. I'm the Vice President of the Black Student Union. I've been the treasurer for a year and recently received a promotion. And the first thing that I want to say is I want to thank everyone for coming out, and I hope by the time you leave, you at least learn something about what it means to be a Black person or a person of color. What I want to touch base on is just sharing my experiences as like a young Black woman. One particular instance is I remember like being in middle school and writing a summary and the teacher asking me if I plagiarized the summary, which I didn't, but now looking back at it, I can take that as a compliment because it was written so well that she just thought that I looked it up online and just copy and pasted it. But I wanted to touch base that the Black Student Union is not just for people who have melanin in them, but it's for people who identify as a minority and for our allies. And we want to be here on campus to throw events for you guys, to provide support when you guys feel like you need it, and to basically unify. There's a lot of stuff in the Black community that we need to touch base on, such as gender roles, how women are treated, how young Black women are treated, and how young Black men are treated, homosexuality and how it's perceived in the Black culture and how it needs to change, and a bunch of other issues as far as, like I said, unity. Like, we're not united in any of our issues, but it's getting better as the generations go along. So I really appreciate Juana's presentation because she touched base on everything that was brought over in the past, but there's still stuff that's being continued on today that's acknowledged, such as music. Music is a very important part of our culture. Dance is a very important part of our culture. Education, more people are being educated, especially young Black folks. And I want to commend everyone for being here in this room today because you really deserve it. So yeah. Eat and enjoy yourselves. Thank you.